Let me first get the sound right. Can you hear me at the very top? Raise your hand if you hear me comfortably. Okay, perfect. So we can just lower this now, because I'm using this microphone. You still hear me fine?
Try it. Just try it.
Okay.
No. It's on mute now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I've been doing a lot of speaking the past few days and trying to catch up on sleep in the airplane and in cars. And today I was whisked from the airport to your city. And when I woke up, the driver said I was here. I opened my eyes and I felt like I was in an enchanted forest. It was just so beautiful. At any rate, the city, the street where my hotel is. So I envy those of you who go to school here or live here. It's a truly beautiful place, and thank you for having me. This evening I'm going to do something I usually don't do. For the past several years, or actually I'm afraid to say for the past several decades, when I've lectured on the Israel-Palestine conflict, I usually like to just set out the historical record, the factual record, as I understand it, and hopefully to, in the process, dispel some of the myths and outright falsifications that surround the Israel-Palestine conflict. But this year, usually at the beginning of an academic year, I try to figure out a new framework for a lecture to be used then for the duration of the academic year. And there were very few new political developments in the Israel-Palestine conflict. And so I couldn't find a new political theme to structure a lecture around. And I was at a loss what to do or how to proceed. As it happened in August of this year, a young student from the Netherlands visited me, and he was carrying with him a copy of an anthology entitled The Essential Gandhi. And I had for many years wanted to read Gandhi. I couldn't find a good anthology. And when I tried to teach him, because no good anthology was available, I always ended up teaching Gandhi's autobiography. And that didn't go over too big in my classes. For those of you who have not read it, it reads something like this: Chapter 14, milk. Chapter 15, nuts. Chapter 16, fruit. Chapter 17, more on nuts, then more on fruit. And just didn't seem to grab students. Gandhi was very concerned not only with his diet, but making it as simple as possible. As he liked to say, my diet consists of milk, fruit, and one unboiled and unsalted vegetable. That's it. But then I picked up the anthology and I read it through once. And the more I read, the more intriguing I found it. And at some point, it then moved me to start looking at his collected works, which run into some 90 hefty volumes, around 500 pages each. And I started to plow through the collected volumes one by one. I got up to 23 before I had to start writing, or the people who sponsored me would have throttled me. And I have to say that as I read, my respect for him kept increasing and increasing. There's an expression in American English, I don't know if they use it here, familiarity breeds contempt. The more you know somebody who claims greatness, the less respect you have for them. But that really does not happen with Gandhi. The more you read, the more you gradually get filled with awe. He really was a very impressive personality, not because he had a great mind, and he never pretended to have a great mind, but because, first of all, of his sheer moral consistency and moral force. We have the expression in English to talk the talk and walk the walk. Gandhi talked and he walked. He practiced by his beliefs in a remarkably consistent, almost you might say, awesome fashion. That in itself has to impress, especially when you're in academic life where there's a lot more talk than walk. But beyond that, he presented a model of a life which in my older years I've come to see as admirable. Namely, Gandhi did not respect the divisions between the public and the private, or the personal and the political. He didn't think there was a Chinese wall separating the two, that life was one seamless whole, and it was all about the search for truth. And there were really no hierarchies. It's not, in his view, correct to say that what appears to be a trivial item of your personal life is more important or looms larger than the great political struggles of the day. No, for him, they were all of equal significance, equal value, and of equal implication. So when you read his collected works, you'll find on one page he's talking about the struggle against British colonialism, and on the next page he's talking about his diet. On the next page he's telling you exactly how many pounds he gained or lost on a particular day. And in the fourth day he would express huge embarrassment that he had, to quote him, an erection in Bombay. And that was Gandhi. You can laugh, and of course the immediate reaction is to laugh, but then the respect begins to grow, because he liked to say his life was an open book. There's nothing about his life that's off limits, nothing about his life that's not worthy of being criticized or publicly discussed. And he treated his life as a kind of objective matter you put on a laboratory table and you just examine it. There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be embarrassed of, just as long as when you discover a flaw in yourself, you make a real effort to correct it. If you don't make an effort to correct it, well, that's shameful. But to discover that you have flaws in yourself, there's nothing shameful about it, and nothing that you need hide about it or conceal. I, at any rate, maybe because it's my age, I found that a appealing way to look at life, and it certainly frees one of many psychological burdens. Well, then I started to read Gandhi with the lecture this evening in mind, and I decided I would try to take one aspect of Gandhi, not his diet, but his doctrine of nonviolence, or nonviolent civil resistance, satyagraha, and try to apply it to the Israel-Palestine conflict, and to see what we get. Are there useful lessons? Is there anything to be learned? My own view, as I'll try to convince you this evening, is in fact there is a great deal one can learn from Gandhi, and that he imparts important lessons about trying to achieve, finally, a just and lasting peace in the Israel-Palestine conflict. So my order of business this evening is basically the following. Number one, I want to set out the terms for resolving the Israel-Palestine conflict, the basic principles for a just and lasting peace. Number two, to clarify what are the obstructions, what are the obstacles to trying to achieve a just and lasting peace. Number three, to look at Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence as a means for trying to, as it were,